Atlas 767 Cpat review of hydraulic. The hydraulic reservoirs are pressurized by pneumatic air and feed the engine demand-driven pumps and the demand pumps. The engine-driven pump is provided through a fire shutoff valve, which is operated by the left engine fire switch. A low fluid quantity. There is a reservoir quantity light and an ICAS hydraulic quantity message. The engine-driven pump is controlled by a switch and the fire switch. Pump is depressurized when the switch is off or the fire switch is pulled. The pressure light illuminates if output pressure is low. If an engine is not running, the pressure light in the switch is illuminated if the switch is on, and the ICAS message hydraulic primary pump indicates. If an engine-driven pump high temperature occurs, the overheat light and an ICAS message primary hydraulic overheat occurs. Engine pumps remain in the on position. Engine pumps fail to on when they are depowered. The electrically driven pump provides hydraulic power for high system demands or failure of the engine-driven pump. They are controlled by a three-position switch: off, auto, and on. Off is normally selected after the aircraft is parked and turns the pump off. On activates the pump continuously and is not used during normal ops, and auto activates the pump on demand. It's normally selected to auto before start, and when additional hydraulics needed or failure of the engine-driven pump, the pump will activate. The left electric pump is inhibited on the ground during engine start to reduce load when only one generator is operational. The electric pump low pressure light and the hydraulic demand pump message occurs when there's low output pressure. The overheat light and the demand hydraulic overheat message occurs if there's an overheat in the electric demand pump. System quantity and pressure are displayed on the ICAS status page. A low system pressure results in a system pressure light and a left or right hydraulic system pressure ICAS message. The center hydraulic system is powered by 4 available pumps: 2 electric pumps, an air-driven pump, and a ram air turbine. It is normally powered by the 2 electric pumps. The air-driven pump provides additional power on demand and also provides a backup to the electric pumps. The ram air turbine, or RAT, provides hydraulic power to flight control portions only. It provides adequate power if airspeed is greater than 130 knots, deploys automatically when both engines fail, and is inhibited from ground deployment. The center system reservoir has a quantity light and a hydraulic quantity ICAS message, and a system pressure light and a center hydraulic system pressure message. The center system maintains a reserve quantity for brakes and steering. The volume below the standpipe is provided for the number 1 center electric pump, and it's isolated with low quantity to provide brakes and steering. The center system has 2 electric pumps that are controlled by switches on the panel. With the aircraft part, these switches are normally off. They are normally switched on before engine start. With only one power source available, the number 2 pump is inhibited, so the pump switch pressure light is illuminated and the center hydraulic primary 2 message occurs. Reserve brakes and steering switch affects the same valve as low quantity to isolate the system for brakes and steering. Maintenance controls for reserve brakes and steering isolation valves are on the accessory panel. A reset disable switch resets the isolation valve if closed or causes it to open. In the normal position, it allows the valve to operate as described for flight ops, and the isolation light illuminates if the valve is closed. The reserve brakes and steering switch is on the FO pre-flight Verify the switch is closed, guarded, and the isolation light is extinguished. The air-driven pump has a switch selection of off, which is selected when parked, and auto, which is selected just before engine start. Pneumatic pressure in both electric low pressure or failure or high demand turns on the air-driven pump. With the loss of AC, the air-driven pump provides power to the center hydraulics to the hydraulically driven generator. In this condition, supply to the flat actuators is reduced to maintain pressure to the hydraulically driven generator and may result in reduced flat speeds. The air-driven pump exhaust is aft of the left wing fairing. The rat automatically deploys if both engines fail. It's inhibited on the ground at less than 80 knots. So it deploys, if both engines fail and there's a low center hydraulic pressure. When deployed, an amber unlocked light on the switch illuminates and the rat unlocked ICAS message occurs. A minimum of 130 knots is required for appropriate pressure output, which will result in a green pressure light on the switch. When the rat deploys, the rat switch green pressure light illuminates. All other center hydraulic indications will show low pressure. The center hydraulic pump overheat light and center hydraulic 1 or 2 overheat message will occur if the center hydraulic system overheats. The ADP overheat light and center demand hydraulic overheat light or low pressure light and center demand hydraulic pump message will occur to the appropriate message related to the ADP. That concludes the review of hydraulics.